Path of Exile's patch 0.11.5 dropped yesterday, and this week we have 5 beastly new uniques to take a look at in today's video. G'day, ZiggyD here, and let's jump straight into my overview and analysis of the 5 new uniques that we have in Path of Exile. And I have to reiterate, the uniques this week are amazing. Last patch we had a few that were, pretty awesome. We had some really cool ones, and we had some ones that were a bit, not too exciting. But this week, I'm super psyched to present these actual uniques to you. So let's go straight into it. I'm already on my right screen. Good stuff. And first up, we have a new unique map, Poorjoy's Asylum, and this is. I have to give you my first reactions to seeing this map. As I read down this list of mods, I'm like, what? That is amazing. So as I read through the mods list, it just got better and better and better. It is a sick map. But first, let's read the flavor text, because that's actually something I haven't read to myself yet. Laughs of all the twisted echo through these halls of gold. In this cold, forgotten void, they wander, forever uncontrolled. That's pretty cool. I like that, and it kind of rolls off the tongue pretty nicely. But let's go through the mods list. Okay, so first up, we have an item quantity bonus of 100% on it. Now, I did see another version of this map that also had 100%, so I believe that's the base amount for this map, which is pretty cool. It's a very high amount, obviously, and you can obviously chisel that as well. Though, I don't know if spending 20 chisels is ever really worth it on a unique map, because you actually have to spend the full 20 to get it up to 20% quality. But this is a pretty cool map, so maybe for the extra 20% quality. Anyway, so the first few mods are all about the difficulty of the map. First up, we have 150 something increased monster life. Next up, 148 something increased monster damage, 25% increased monster movement speed, 25% increased monster attack and cast speed. So the first two mods are pretty variable, but I'm pretty sure the 25% move and attack and cast speed are all the same, because I saw the same on another map rolled, but there's only been a few of these so far. Next up, we have some of the beneficial ones. We have 250% increased rarity of items. Now, I did see some footage. I did manage to actually grab some footage, and maybe I'll put it up on screen for you guys, hopefully, of a guy who ran this on stream. They didn't quite make it towards the end boss, so we didn't quite get to see all of it. But I believe they killed one mob that dropped 2 or 3 uniques off it or something like that. So 250% increased rarity is pretty insane, especially if you already have rarity on your character. So that means you're going to, be getting a lot more rares and a lot more unique items, and potentially even more valuable maps when they do drop, because I believe rarity still affects maps, even though quantity doesn't. You can still get, your magic and rare and unique maps, and I think they even got a unique map off a unique map in that run that I watched on stream, so pretty cool stuff. Next up, area is a large maze, not a mage. Now, because this is a temple map, that's a pretty beneficial mod to have, essentially. So that means it's much bigger than the temple map would be normally, and there's a lot more mobs in it. So that's a pretty cool mod to have on there. It's a good one. And next up, we've got 150% increased experience gain. So, this is starting to look like a very solid map to run. You've got that increased quantity, you've got tons of extra rarity, it's a maze map, so there's lots of monsters in it, and extra experience. And then the final mod, which just made me laugh out loud when I first saw it. Unique boss drops 15 additional rare daggers. Now, the first time I saw this was actually rare amulets. So, apparently, using a divine on this map actually changes the type of item that drops. That's really cool, because now there's this meta game around this map where, say you want a bunch of amulets so you can roll for the chaos recipe, or you really need an amulet upgrade. If you divine this map a few times until you get amulets, you can, run the map for a bunch of amulets, and hopefully out of one of those 15 amulets will be a pretty good upgrade for you, or you'll have a lot of amulets for the chaos recipe in the future. But that's a really cool and interesting mod. Now, as I said, in the stream I ended up watching, they ended up dying, and the streamer died, and most of the other party members died as well. So it's a very extremely difficult map, and it's got that extra damage, movement, cast speed. It's basically on turbo with extra damage and increased monster life. Very dangerous map, but very rewarding. Cool, unique all round, and the art for it's pretty cool. I kind of had to stretch it out to make it visible on this, but I kind of like it. It's pretty cool looking. So let's go over to the next one. We have Quecholli, the Spiked Maul. Now, last week, I think, or the week before, we got a leveling two-handed mace. Apparently, you know, not quite satisfied. We need more leveling two-handed maces because this is another pretty awesome one. It's level 22 and it comes with increased physical damage percentage and 5 to 25 physical damage base. So that's very strong. Now, because it is 5 to 25 base physical damage, if you quality this, you're going to get a really big benefit from this. So qualitying this will increase the physical damage even more. And 60 to 140 even without quality at level 22 is quite a lot. Now, 43 to all attributes is fantastic for leveling. It means you can use any support gem without investing any passive points. So it's another great leveling mod on there. 10 life gained on kill, another fantastic leveling mod. And then we have enemies killed explode, dealing 10% of their life as fire damage. So essentially, it turns whatever skill you use into Infernal Blow. So if you're leveling an Infernal Blow Marauder and maybe you want to use Heavy Strike, you can turn it into a kind of a rudimentary Heavy Strike Infernal Heavy Strike, something like that. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool mace, but it's not crazy. We have quite a few good leveling two-handed weapons now, and this just sort of slots in there. If you happen to get one of these drop for you while you're leveling, or maybe you drops one and then you level a character, it's going to work quite well for you. And I quite like the enemies explode, dealing 10% of their life mod. Pretty cool stuff. I don't think it will have any endgame uses though. Next up, we have Cybil's Paw, a Thresher Claw base item. First up, the 3D art for this the 2D art for this item is really, really cool, and I hope one day we see some 3D art for this, because I reckon that would look pretty rad, especially if it was pretty kind of glowy looking, would be pretty sweet. But this is the first significant and interesting caster claw I'd seen. And now, I was hoping and wondering whether we would see a caster claw at some point, because, you know, these are Dex Int items, but they've never really, they can roll caster mods, but they're never really, you know, I've never really seen any good caster ones. No caster really uses claws, because the base benefit for claws is life gained on hit or life leech for attacks, you know, so they don't work well with casters at all. There's no real benefit there. But this one is designed specifically for casters, and I have even been able to figure out exactly what sort of caster they were designing this for. So let's have a look at the mods. First up, we have increased attack speed, nothing too significant. We have, cast speed, not attack speed. We have 32 plus to maximum mana, nothing too significant either, just a nice little bonus. But here's where it gets interesting. 8 life gained on hit for spells. Life gain on hit for spells. That is pretty rad. I like that. So this, you know, essentially, this mod is useless for a caster, but instead we get this 8 life gain per hit for spells. Pretty cool stuff. Next up, 6% increased spell damage per 5% block chance. So if you have a 75% max block build, you're going to be getting a ton of extra spell damage, and mainly this offsets the fact that you're not using a wand or you're not using like a dagger for crit or something like that. You're getting some sort of spell damage from this. Now, straight away, I was able to figure out what this was actually designed for. I'm pretty sure this is a diamond created unique, and I'm pretty sure it was designed for an unwavering stance max block incinerate tank. So someone had an incinerate tank, they're using shields, they have unwavering stance, so they can stand there and tank and not be interrupted, because you need unwavering stance, or otherwise when you block you're going to get interrupted and you're going to lose your incinerate stacks. But someone had this character where they were blocking, they're a tanky character, they're casting incinerate, but they have this problem. I want to go blood magic, but I can't really support this spell. It has extremely high costs, or I want to use a blood magic support gem with it. Well, this gives you 8 life gained per hit and cast speed with incinerate. Incinerate hits super rapidly. So you're getting this 8 life gained on hit for each hit, and it hits like, you know, I think it hits like, I don't know the exact amounts, but it's like 10 to 20 times per second or something. So, you know, once you get enough cast speed on it. So this is insane. It will allow you to support it. Now, you can potentially go dual wielding these and double that life gain on hit and get the extra spell damage, and only get your block from dual wielding block and dual wielding block nodes, and maybe like the amulet, the block amulet. But I don't know if that's best. I think this is probably best used as a main hand with a shield on a max block build, and I'm pretty sure that's what it's designed for. Pretty cool to see a new unique that is very different for the base item. It has a very different use for the base item compared to what you'd normally use it for. You'd normally use a claw on an attack build, obviously. But pretty cool. I'm hoping to see some cool 3D art for this, and I'm hoping to see some cool max block incinerate tanks. Now, it may have some other uses, but I think that's probably going to be the main one, because they're super powerful with that spell and that sort of spec. Next up, we have Kongor's Undying Rage, a Terror Maul. So, Kongor is a streamer, for those of you guys who don't know. He mostly plays Diablo 3, but he sort of ventured into Path of Exile a little bit and did splurge on the Diamond Supporter Pack, and he pretty much asked the developers to create him an overpowered two-handed mace. And that's pretty much what we've got. So this is a fairly significant competitor to the Moroi Urki, and I haven't quite decided which one's better. I think I probably prefer the Moroi Urki in my Infernal Blow Marauder build because of the increased AoE, but this is super powerful. So let's take a look at the mods. First up, we have adds 30 to 303 physical damage. Now, as you can see, with 20% quality, that gets us up to 128 to 488 physical damage. That is insane. It's a huge amount of base physical damage. Now, if you've got a physical damage build with stacking a bunch of extra increased physical damage, and then maybe a physical conversion from either Infernal Blow or, Hatred or something like that, then, yeah, that's a crap load of damage. This is a power item. You know, when you talk about item design, you create ones that are for people looking for interesting build synergies and skill enabling and build enabling sort of things, and then there's, low leveling items, and then there's power items, ones that are just super powerful. So pretty cool stuff. Next up, hits can't be invaded, so essentially you can drop Resolute Technique and pick up crit, which is pretty important because of the other mods. Firstly though, elemental resists, not too bad. You have a two-hander, you're sacrificing a shield and some resist, so a bit of extra resist is always nice. Not too significant really, because it's not that hard to get max resist on endgame gear. But here's the interesting part. So with this Resolute Technique, essentially, we have your critical strikes do not deal increased damage. So you're just going to be stacking crit chance, but no crit damage, because you can't deal extra crit damage. When you crit, you deal no extra damage. Now you can get status effects still, but they'll be less effective. So you can still freeze things, but they'll be frozen for less time. That's if you're not one-shotting things with this mage, which is probably going to happen. But here's the other part. You gain Onslaught, the Onslaught buff, for 2 seconds on critical strike. Now Onslaught gives you move speed, attack speed, and cast speed, I believe. So basically, you're going to be stacking as much crit as possible, not dealing extra damage from your crits, but you already deal a ton of damage. So it's kind of like having Resolute Technique. It's a really interesting mod, actually, with this combined. These two combined here is a really interesting pair of mods. But you're going to be stacking that crit and trying to keep up that Onslaught buff as much as you can, and just going on a bashing frenzy. Pretty cool stuff, pretty powerful and cool, unique. As I said, for a lot of builds it's going to be better than the Moroi Urki. The Moroi Urki is only really better in some builds because of the increased AoE, but you could always 6-link this and put an increased AoE gem on it if you wanted that as well, and it will be very powerful. Cool item. I hope we see some 3D art for it too, because it's pretty rad looking. And then the final one is Mon'Tregul's Grasp, the Void Scepter. And instantly you can see it looks like a skeleton hand with cobwebs on it. Wielding that is gruesome. I love it. Perfect for Path of Exile. So we have, the basic mace stuff, but we've got some interesting mods on here. It supports an interesting sort of summoner build. Now from the name Mon'Tregul, you can kind of imagine it sort of lends itself to a summoner build. And yeah, pretty cool stuff here. Let's go into it though. 50% reduced number of zombies allowed. So I believe this also rounds down. So if you have your standard 3 zombies, you're going to get 1. But if you have 4, you can get 2. So that's, I kind of think most people will go for 4 and get it scaled back to 2 zombies. Now, why would you want reduced zombies? Because you want those zombies to be beastly. 500 zombie maximum life. This is like having a Comb's Heart on your zombies. 500 base life when combined with increased minion life, support gem, and passive nodes is a huge amount of extra survivability for those zombies. So your zombies, your 2 zombies or 1 or 2 zombies are now extremely tanky. And then 30% increased zombie resistances, more tanky. 25% increased zombie size. Cool, just to go with the fact that these look like these are beastly tanky zombies. Everyone's gonna know it because they're gonna be huge. They're gonna be taller than you. They're gonna be massive looking. 25% is really cool. Some of the uniques you have, they like reduce your size or increase your size by 10%, but 25% increase zombie size. You have these towering, lumping power zombies. Pretty cool. Next up, zombies deal 100% increased physical damage, very powerful as well. And enemies killed by zombies explode, dealing fire damage. Now, interestingly enough, and kind of in Path of Exile-like fashion, this doesn't actually say like a percentage of enemies' life or any sort of mod, so I don't actually know how much damage this deals. So that'd be interesting to test and see whether that's actually a higher amount of damage or whether it's just more of an aesthetic thing, because the fact that there's no numbers on here leads me to believe that it might be aesthetic, but maybe we'll find that out a bit after it's been tested a bit more. But pretty interesting stuff. So you have 2 massive, lumbering, powerful, tanky zombies that beat on some enemies and explode them. And even if that explosion isn't dealing much damage, you know, that's going to be pretty cool. So, as I said, some pretty sick, unique items today. We've got this map that I imagine most people want to run. I want to run it at some point. Pretty cool stuff. We've got pretty decent leveling mace. We've got an amazing caster claw. Kongor's Undying Rage, the OP power mace, and Mon'Tregul's lumbering zombies of death mace here. So amazing stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my summary and analysis of these uniques. Pretty cool stuff. I hope ZiggyD and the Diamond supporters keep these sort of items coming. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.